All right, Benton Harbor, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. I know I'm in my office now, not in the church, but that's how I feel. So I'm glad to be here today. I had a long weekend, but it was a blessing. Today is August 1st, 2022, and today we have a guest on, Mr. Oshae Jackson. Blacked himself out here, but he's with us. He's getting himself settled. This is the first day of August. It seemed like July, just kind of blew by, but we're here now. This is a month that's packed with a bunch of stuff. I got the show today, and then tomorrow, not only is election day, but for us, it's National Night Out, which we have done every year. This will be the 7th year of that. To get prepared for that, we usually have hundreds and hundreds of people in the city center park downtown. We have that snow cone machine that people line up for, hundreds line up for. So we'll have that. Had a little setback with the dunk tank. It was double booked. So I got to check with another place to try and get that. So I'd like to get back into the dunk tank so you can dunk the director, dunk the chief. The first year we did that was phenomenal. We had probably 110 people line up. I ended up getting dunked about 7 times by some little kids. It was wonderful. So that is what we are doing. Busy day. So again, we got Brother Oshae Jackson here. He is with us.
How y'all doing?
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's fantastic. All right, we got good audio, good camera. You must got a top of the line iPhone 17. The appreciation is really good.
Oh yeah.
So we got Mr. Jackson here today. As you know, we like to have guests on, especially people that are active in the community. We'll talk about some things that he does. We can maybe get his perspective on some things that's going on here in Benton Harbor. And then, of course, we like to talk about solutions, Brother Jackson, on, this is what we see. What can we do to address some of those issues that we want to fix or address? So we'll be talking about that. I thank you for coming on. Actually, our conversation started from a complaint. And we sat down and talked. I have an open door policy, as well as, I've said before, it does no good to get on here and just kind of shoot fluff and shoot propaganda. We've had people in the short time that maybe had issues with the department or issues with me or the city. We don't want to run from that, Mr. Jackson. We want to hit it head on. And I think you have a unique perspective, because I think your heart is for the city. And I think sometimes you get frustrated too as a young man, trying to work in and with the city. So we'll talk about those things, and I hope that's appreciated from the fact of we talk about things that need to be talked about. So
yeah, it really is.
Without any further ado, sir, first tell us about yourself. Kind of where you from, what you come up, how you kind of got to here, and so we can learn about Oshae Jackson.
All right, well, I'm a part of this community. I've been a part of this community for 29 years. That's how old I am. I'm 29 years old. I've been a resident of Benton Harbor all my life. In and out, I moved out of Benton Harbor maybe 2 or 3 times out of my life. Never left for more than a year. Always had to come back. I just always got homesick. Just something about being here where it's nothing, nowhere else can make me feel like I'm at home. So I always have to come back. As a youngster, I used to be kind of bad. I used to be a bad seed in the community. I used to get into a lot of trouble. Let me roll my windows up. I see that semi's coming by. But yeah, I used to get in a lot of trouble and stuff like that. And as I started having children, I decided, with my life, that I needed to make some changes in my life, because I had to be a role model to them, and teach them the right ways to live their lives in our community, and I was seeing that, like, every time I turned my back, I had PD behind me, getting ready to haul me off to jail. So I'm like, I can't let my kids grow up seeing stuff like this, because that's gonna, in a long term, that will traumatize them and think that, that the police officers are bad, but they're actually just doing their job. You know, I made the decisions I made to get myself in trouble. So, I have to face the consequences, and everybody got a job to do,
Right.
and so I had to realize that in my lifetime that I had to change myself and look at myself and stop looking at others, because that's what I was doing in my life was, judging others and not paying attention to what I really was doing and looking at myself first to change what I was doing, to make a difference in my own life. And that being said, I turned around and I drastically changed the things in my life to make myself a better person, to be able to do things in the community to help the community, and also try to be a role model for the community so people can see, the God in me, and also to see, I'm not just out here saying stuff, I'm actually doing it,
Yeah.
because I never asked somebody else to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So, that being said, sometimes we have to be leaders and set examples for people. So then that way the community can stand behind us and do the same thing.
That you said so much, and I appreciate that. So firstly, how many kids you got?
I got four.
Okay, all right, that's nice. So I have four too. When I was growing up, for some reason, I wanted four kids. Don't ask me why that number is in my head. That's what I wanted. That's what I have. So I appreciate your honesty as far as when you were younger, you do some stuff that wasn't necessarily on the right track,
Yep.
and you had law enforcement interactions on multiple occasions, but you came to a point where you did a self examination and didn't blame someone else or blame law enforcement, but did a self introspection. And it would be nice if more people did that. Kind of walk me through that process. What led you to that thought process of it? I know you said that you didn't want to be a bad example to your kids, but
You know,
it's like, go ahead.
it really started like every time I turned around, I was giving the courthouse like $1,000, and I'm like, dude, eventually it was like $30,000. And I'm like, man, this stuff I could have used for my kids' college tuition. I could have did something else for my children. I could have bought a house. I could have done all kind of things for my family and also for people in the community, instead of just giving that money to the courthouse. And when I was looking at that, because one day I was broke with no money at all, and I was sitting around and I was just thinking about all the things that was going on, and I looked at myself and I looked at my tax return, and I said I had $5,000 and I don't have nothing to show for it because it
Yeah,
all went to the courthouse. And I was like, I couldn't even buy my kids anything or nothing. And I was like, I got to make a change. Something got to change. Because if not, then I'm just going to keep making them richer. I'm going to work every day to give them all of my money. And when I thought about that and I looked at what was going on in my life, and that's what made me make that change. And ever since I made the change, my life has been way better. God has been opening up doors that I can't close and nobody else can shut them. And that's just the best thing that I can say, that the Lord he's been over me, and he's been teaching me. And one thing I can tell you, I used to be a Jonah, but I sure got myself together. I came back. I wasn't going to let him keep me down like he was, because the devil was over me. He was riding my back, and I got him off of me. I tell you that I went to church. I stayed prayed up. I stayed around positive people, and I kept myself doing something productive and positive in our community. Because
okay.
even though it's not a lot to do in the community, there is still stuff to be done. People just need to start opening up their minds, imaginations, and bringing stuff to do that's positive in the community. And that alone itself will help, break some of these barriers that we have in our community, and people say, oh, well, there's nothing to do, or sometimes we have to make stuff to do. We see, like right now, I'm looking at the curbs. It's overgrowth all over the curbs, and people got out here with shovels and pull that back. That'll make our community look a little better.
Yes.
So just doing stuff positive, doing something that's helping better our community. I think that would be the ultimate goal, is to keep the community in good standing.
Absolutely. Good morning, Sister Athena, if I'm saying it correctly. Thanks for being with us. So, Brother Jackson, before I want to, we don't get into your Facebook news channel, but I want to
Yeah.
park right here for a second because you basically talked about personal responsibility, and you came to a point where you said, you know what, I got to do things better, and I want things better not only for myself but for my family and for my community. Um, how do we get other young men and women, because you see with this gun violence thing that's been proliferated the last 2 or 3 years in the community, it is not just men. We got women that are victims as well as suspects in gun violence. But my question is, how do we get other young men that were at crosswords where you were to start to think about making a change like you did, kind of change their mindset and their perspective to accept that responsibility and to make a change for the positive? How do we do that for everyone else? Because I know that's both of our goals.
Well, I mean, for one, it's I know all police officers got to do a job, and they have a job they have to do. But sometimes I feel like, and I know a lot of other people feel like that. Sometimes that the people who they charge with these gun charges and stuff shouldn't probably get charged. I mean, I understand that there are certain ways that firearm is supposed to be carried, but just imagine a younger black man, let's say a little younger than me. He's just learning about his gun laws, and he went to the gun store. He purchased his first firearm, and he just didn't properly carry it right because he didn't quite understand. Right? Instead of the police pulling him over, charging him with a CCW, why wouldn't they, if they know that he legally put it in his name, he's telling them he's trying to carry it the right way. Why not, teach him the right way, give him a warning, and send him about his way? Show him how it's supposed to be broken down, where this is supposed to be, where that's supposed to be, and say, I'm gonna give you a warning this time. Just don't do it again. Because next time this will lead you into this type of trouble. But because the officers are not teaching the community, they're just taking them to jail. Then you got a lot of people who are genuinely good going to jail for no reason.
Okay, that's an interesting point, and I never thought about when from my perspective, getting guns off the street, if you will. We think automatically about the illegal ones, or I should say, the ones that people are buying not the right way, like you're saying. So you're suggesting a gun education, especially
That's
because
right.
Michigan is an open carry state, and we're pretty liberal as far as gun laws to educate the public with that. And I'm writing that down, sir, because that's actually a good suggestion. Um, and you're right. Now, let me say this though, from our perspective, there have been those that we've come across that maybe didn't understand the rule, or they were honestly maybe they knew it, but they're trying to protect themselves because of all that's been going on. Um, we got probably the majority though are getting these guns illegally. They're straw purchases. They're stolen. I think this weekend alone we had recovered stolen vehicles and stolen guns from, I want to say, Kalamazoo. So there's a mix, and that's part of the problem. You raise an interesting issue, Brother Jackson, is that sometimes the good gets kind of swept in with the bad, and then I think, and I will say this, police, we think black and white, and either yes or no, kind of no shades of gray or maybe, and sometimes people do kind of get caught up into maybe that mix where maybe it could be. Also, maybe if it does get to court, can the court have the prosecutor's office say, okay, this was a situation that's an outlier. This person had bought the gun legally, went through all the steps, got their license from the county, got caught carrying it, didn't have a CCW. So maybe that conversation needs to be had not only with the police but also the prosecutor's office that can help maybe screen those people out. Because you're right, a person like that will now be in court, like you said, spending all your money on court costs and fines and lawyers. Um, so, and I'm smiling because I'm just in a good mood. But that's a good point that you're making. Again, I'm writing that down as a topic of discussion. But these other ones, so let's flip over these young people that are getting these guns illegally. Either they're stealing them, or now we see that there's the ability to buy guns that you put together yourself that don't follow the regular rules. So one of the things that's frustrating to me is we've seen all these shootings across the country, and then legislators want to kind of do a knee-jerk reaction and put more regulations on guns. The problem with that, Mr. Jackson, you may agree, is that they are putting more restrictions on the people that's buying them legally. That's the
That's right.
problem. Why not put the restrictions on the gun companies that are skirting the law and sending people, and they're doing it legally, guns in parts where people can buy them, finish putting together the manufacturing process, and then they sell them on the street at street value. And that's the biggest problem that we have. There's things, again, you got people that get knee-jerk reaction, want to penalize the good gun owning people, but the actual problem kind of gets ignored. So, I don't know, that's a lot what I just said. How do we address that? How do we help the young people to realize that these rap songs that they're getting kind of like their moral compass from is not. How do we change? How do we affect? And I agree, the people that are the good people that kind of get caught up. Yes, but the other ones that are really causing the issue for us, how do we get to them? How do we affect the change there?
Well, the first thing that I was thinking, I've been thinking this for the last couple of months, is that the city need to get together, and I think that y'all can do it down there because of all the violence. Is put a ban on the partying, because 9 times out of 10, y'all get most of y'all calls after somebody partied, or after a party has functioned or something like that, and that's when a lot of the shooting and stuff occurs, is
Yes.
after parties. And I feel like that if we killed the partying, that would ultimately take some of this killing and shootings, and that rate would drop, because people are not out getting drunk, they're not out driving and doing reckless speeds at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. They're not out, congregating together in big groups at the gas stations and things like that. If we ban the partying, then we wouldn't really have that much gun violence, and y'all will be able to have more control over what's going on. But because y'all have all these parties going on every night, every weekend, it's more and more killing. It's more and more shootings.
Yeah. Yeah. So here, and you are absolutely correct. Unfortunately, us as police, in most situations, we always start behind because the thing that we've been called to has already happened. Generally, 8, 9 times out of 10. You're correct. So here, this is kind of a segue into what for us our biggest problem is, because we know that these parties, they pop up, and we got certain people that plan them, and then some people are kind of wise to, they kind of skirt around the internet or the Facebook, where they try to hide them from us. But what would be helpful? And that's our biggest problem in Benton Harbor that we have. You can say it's the gun violence. That's to me, that's an outlier. It's outcropping. What the actual issue is that people are apathetic. We have a huge spirit of apathy in Benton Harbor, and they don't want to be involved. Now, I've heard, we don't want to be targeted, or we're scared of. Here's where I would say a couple things. One, there's more of us than it is them, meaning there's more law-abiding citizens than the small group that cause other trouble. Number two, I've watched videos from some of these incidents, and I see people that are enjoying themselves. They're at these parties, or they gather at the spot, sunny spot, AJ's. It's like open Sodom and Gomorrah. They're drinking, they're smoking, they're getting high, they're laughing, they're joking. You got people out there with guns on their hip. Girls are laughing and joking with them. It's like we enjoy this. So, when we hear, well, we don't want to say that nothing is being said because we're scared. The evidence I'm starting to see with video evidence, most businesses have video, or houses that we get, they enjoy it. And, again, I'll go back to, until we get somebody in custody, to the Memorial Day shooting, out of all the people on video, probably no less than 800 people to this day, No one has come forward. Not one person. Not one person. And again, there had to have been easily 800 people out there. Now we know that that particular incident was a cascade effect. Some shooting started in one area, then started in another area before the shooting that actually killed a young man. So you can't tell me didn't nobody see what happened. But if you see the video, it's all wonderfully fun, game, social scene. So I'm believing now that people aren't saying anything because they don't want to mess up that good thing. So getting back to what
Well,
you said,
I
let
don't
me
I
finish.
don't really I don't really think is that they don't want to mess up the good thing of partying and being able to have a good time, but it's more of when someone goes and they tell the police what's going on. Like, let's say if I wanted to tell you what happened, like if I was there and I knew, 9 times out of 10, after you give the police officers the information, then they throw you under the bus. So now everybody know you told on them. So now you got people threatening your life.
So
And most people shouldn't feel uh, the fear that the police is going to tell on them if they trying to help the police.
so
And that's how
let
they
me
that's how they 9 times out of 10 they do the community.
so let me finish my thought because I want to talk to that. So getting back to your original point of if we want to stop the parties, we know that there's communications, there's flyers, quite actually nice elaborate flyers that are done. Send them to us if we can get. And there's been times where we get information ahead of time where we'll shut a party down, so you don't hear about those when we actually can get the intel, make contact with the person, party gets shut down, it's done. It's the ones that we don't get information that pop up because once, as you know, they start going, then it just grows and it grows and grows and grows. So if somebody would say, you know what, they're on Facebook and they come across it, they can send it to us on our Facebook page via message. They can send it anonymously. That way we know. Or they could even, text it to me because we want to keep that. So now let me get to what you said. So here is, let me kind of clarify, and I appreciate your comment on that. So it's a process. It's not throwing someone under the bus. I don't know, and maybe this needs to be another educational kind of campaign like the gun education. So the way the system works is that, again, we operate from behind. The incident that already happened, people are long gone, and we need people to tell us. And we got some good comments coming in. We need people to tell us what happened, what they saw, who they saw, if they knew, to identify that, so we can take that and investigate. The reason why we have open homicides now is because we have people, including victims in non-fatal shootings, who refuse to say anything because they want to take matters in their own hands. So the escalation of violence that we see is because you have retaliation going back and forth between a couple of 2 or 3 factions that are trying to handle it, quote unquote, themselves. So here's what happens when somebody.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I'm not trying to cut you off, but I don't really believe that it's because they're trying to handle it on themselves. I believe that they're more scared to tell because if they tell, then they have to deal with it in everyday society. And then also they're going to put another target on their back.
But let
You
me
know what I'm
finish.
saying?
I'm talking about the guys that are doing the shooting back and forth.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. They're handling that within themselves.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
Yeah,
right.
them, because we know, like, the fighting between the two groups, the 36 and forgetting the name of the other group, goes back to a fight that happened at the high school in 2018. That is the crux of the shootings. The fight that happened at the high school in 2018. I don't know if you know that, but that's what it is. So back in the day, we handled them with these. Now
Right.
people handle them with these. So, but anyway, so let me finish my point as far as how the system works. So if we want to get people off the street, please come. Just give you a model. Please come. If a situation happens, we canvass, try and get witnesses, take their statement. Their statement goes in a report. If we have what's called probable cause to charge, it's because we have an eyewitness or some type of evidence, i.e., camera, video footage that shows what happened. And then the person, even if it's a video, there still needs to be a person or storyteller, if you will, that says, "Yep, that was Oshae Jackson. That was Dan McGinnis." That goes in a report, and then when that gets submitted for charges, because we can't get charges on somebody, as we see, if there are no witnesses or evidence. So if they do get charged, it goes to court. Yes, they get subpoenaed. That's the process. That's not us throwing people under the bus. That's how the court system works. So, and then
I
honestly,
totally, I
go ahead.
totally understand that. But what I mean by it's like because I've had it happen to me. But I didn't even give up any information. I was just not recording like I always do. And then one day, one of the officers said, right in the middle of the street, yeah, that's like giving everybody my name, and that's Oshae Jackson. He's the news guy, and he works for the police. I'm out here every day recording interactions between the community and the police department. For you to be yelling in the middle of the road and saying stuff like that, it's like you're trying to put a target on me for somebody to kill me.
Mm,
Because the first thing they think is when they see me doing my private investigator and stuff, and I'm sitting on the side of the road, peeping out what's going on. Whether I'm doing it to help my community, because whatever go on, I'm gonna get it. But at the same time, by you doing stuff like that, now you're making people watch my vehicle, and I'm a target now. So if that could happen to me, I know it's gonna happen to a lot of other residents who've actually tried to do something positive for the community, and that's why people are like bagging away, because they like, my life is way more, precious to me than to be, giving these people this information and then put a target on my back. But me, I'm not afraid. I'm literally not afraid of nothing nobody bring to me, because only, like I told you when I met you, when I was down there, God has it, my day that I was called to be here, and He has my day that I'm called to leave here. Nobody else can take that from me. Whatever He does is what He does. And that's why I do what I do, because I'm not afraid of nothing. Because that's He's the only person I'm afraid of. Is God Himself. So that being said, I get out here regardless to what He said, or regardless to what people think. Oh, he's a police, he's this and that. Because I don't get paid to work for y'all. I don't work for y'all. But at the same time, I will render over information if I find out something. If somebody texts my news channel and let me know anything, then yeah, I'll give y'all that information. I don't have a problem with that, because I'm trying to help better our community. Our community should be we should have a better standard for our community than what we do as residents of this community.
that's
Like
it.
I tell people, y'all come to Ben Harbor and y'all speed, y'all throw trash on the ground and everything else. But when you cross the bridge and go to St. Joe, you don't do that. You slow
Come on.
down. You don't throw trash on the ground. You respect their community, but you disrespect ours.
Come
And
on.
I don't like that. You know what I'm
Agreed.
saying? So I'm
So,
fighting towards respecting my community, respecting where we live at and how we live, because we don't have to live like this.
absolutely. So, that's a good segue into. I want to talk about your channel, and I appreciate that. And I want we can again we some things just need to be said. So we're gonna talk about those. We got a couple comments that I wanna put on here. We got Mr. Don Lane says, "Yes, sir, Mr. Jackson." We saw that one. Mr. Lane says, "Common sense gun legislation must include closing the gun show loophole, require background checks on every single gun purchase, whether public or private, and ban ghost guns as well as third print." Absolutely, that is
Yep.
a big part of the problem, Mr. Lane. Um, then we got our mayor. Our mayor's on. Good morning, Mayor. Actually, we got Commissioner Edwards, who's up bright and early, and Mayor Muhammad. Does a resident have a civic duty to be law-abiding and protectors of the community? The best police officer is the resident. When we, as residents, are willing to hold one another accountable and rebuild our families, crime, prostitution, murder, assault, domestic violence, etc., will continue to run rampant. That's true. And I've said this before. Thank you, Mayor. I've said this before. Police officers, we we're police, but that we shouldn't be the main law enforcement arm of a community. The community should be the main law enforcement arm of the community. The norms, the morals, the rules of conduct should be dictated by the people. Us as law enforcement officer, we just execute the will of the people, and that's where I think we need to get back to that type of thing. So, um, Brother Jackson. So, and here's why I asked you on here, and I thank you for your candid statements. So there has been, and there are some officers that don't know you or your purpose or feel uncomfortable or think that you are an agitator when, I've learned talking to you that it's quite the opposite. So one of the things my purpose is in this show, not just to be transparent, is if we have somebody like you, first of all, you have the constitutional right to film us. There's case law that says if we're officer in uniform, we do not have a right to privacy. And I think that if people, the officers, if they understood, and it goes both ways. I think some people or some of them have a perception of, oh, here he comes, he's stirring up stuff, which is not necessarily the case. And there's rules kind of engagement on both sides. We do what we do, you do what you do. You kind of stay out of the way, do your thing on the side. But what can we do? Here's what I'm hearing, Mr. Jackson, is we are both on both sides trying to accomplish the same goal. The problem is we look at each other and feel like each other is the hindrance, and that's not necessarily the case. How do we bridge that gap for that relationship? What do you say to officers as far as, and we're going to get into, I'm going to give you the floor. Talk about your Facebook news channel, how it came about, what your purpose is. And then, I'd like to move forward on how we can build a better relationship with law enforcement and the community, because I think there's a valuable resource and service of what you do. You should feel safe doing it because you do it. There might be times where you might get some heat or some silly comments from people that's trying to intimidate or just be funny. But if we're working for the same goal, we should work hand in hand. And some people might have looked at Oshae and taken him the wrong way. I think this is an opportunity to say, hey, here's my purpose. Here's what I'm trying to do. I want to work with you. And honestly, if there are things that you come across that aren't right as far as, or what you perceive might not be right as far as maybe our behavior, our police, my camera's backwards, then obviously I want to talk about it. we talked about how we really met. So we can't have that. Absolutely, at least Ben Harbor, we can't have that. So I'm gonna give you the floor, brother. Tell us about your channel, how it came to be, what your purposes are, and then I want to see if we can kind of bridge the gap and work together. Because you seem like a decent young man, and that's, for me, it's like, okay, this is a young man that got some potential. He's 29. He seems to be active in the community. How can I help him? When I came to this community, I was 29, and I had 3 people that helped really shape me when I got here. That was former Chief Sam Watson, took me by the hand and literally walked me through the community and got me settled. Denetha Whitfield that worked for Ben Harbor Housing, I sat with her hours just having her pour into me, and Jack Campbell, again, who I don't even know we realized how much he was really teaching me how to be what I became ultimately. So it's people like that need to pour in. Now I'm that age where I find somebody like you that I need to pour into, especially when I see you got the heart is in the right spot. Maybe they need a little direction, maybe some guidance. And there's some guys that I help, people I'm working with. How can I make you the next leader when I go on and retire? So that's a whole lot that has been said. You got the floor. Talk about your channel. How can we make this thing work?
Well, with the Ben Harbor Community News channel, it started because this guy had asked me. I guess he had seen me recording police interactions on my own Facebook page. So then he said, "Hey, I got this news channel. Do you want to be a part of it?" So I didn't even know what it was called, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it or whatever." So he sent me a link, and then it was called the Hood News, and I started doing police interaction stuff, recording stuff on it and stuff like that. And then, I looked at what I was doing, and I was like, because it was some stuff that he was doing that was like super disrespectful towards the police departments and stuff. And I'm like, hold up, I live in this town, so I can't do that, because I got to call it. One day I'm going to end up needing to call these people, and I don't want to make enemies with people that I got to call to my residence, or if I have some altercation that happened, because these are the people who can change my life. Either they can help me or they can break me. So I have to disassociate myself with that And I ended up doing the community news because I had a bigger thought about what was going on in my life. And I'm like, Ben Harbor shouldn't be named or claimed as a hood, and I didn't like that. And I thought about that, and I said, everywhere else you got communities all over the place and people got neighborhoods, but then you come to Ben Harbor and everybody want to, label it as a hood. So I was like, we need to clean our community up and become a neighborhood ourselves,
Come on.
clean up our neighborhood, make our neighborhood look good, so then people won't just see the hood in our neighborhood. They won't think, oh, it's just a dirty, trashy place where people get shot and killed and all that type of stuff. They can actually see the potential in our neighborhood and our community. So that's what made me decide to get away from that aspect of reporting stuff and letting the community know what was going on with that hood stuff, because I was like, I'm not nowhere near that. I've been in church all my life, and I don't even want to associate myself with that anymore. I guess it was just something to get my ego up where I could do it on my own, because I never had even thought of doing it like that in that aspect of doing it on a platform besides my own personal Facebook page. So once I started doing it from there, I literally just started doing it because I felt like I was being harassed by the state police department that the mayor sent down here. Like every day they was pulling me over for no reason. And they were giving me bogus stuff like, you forgot to turn your turn signal on. But when they pulled me over and I'm showing them that the turn signal been on the whole time, we get out the car, turn signal blinking, and they like, well, my bad, but still license and registration. Even though I got license, insurance, registration, and everything, these are the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I feel like they're violating people's constitutional rights. I mean, yeah, they got a job they got to do, but at the same time, you got to have respect for people's constitutional rights. Y'all swear to uphold the Constitution, so I don't know why is it so hard for them to just do their job the right way. I mean, of course, y'all gonna have people in the community who gonna cuss at you, say bad things, and all that. But this is what y'all paid, y'all signed up for.
Yeah,
To
true.
to take the bad and the good from the community. And know how to be professional when you do it. And not demand, if you don't get out your car, I'm gonna rip you out and tase you and beat you, stuff like that. Because that's what I got talked. I got talked like that in front of my house by the state police. 5 cops came over, surrounded my vehicle, and tried to pull me out in front of my kids and my wife. Late at night, I was on my way home, coming from dinner. We was out at Chili's eating dinner, and was on our way back home. And then they kept saying that I didn't have a license. Oh, we ran your plate and you don't have a license, but my license was valid. And I'm like, dude, it must be something with the Secretary of State. I gave them all of the legal paperwork, and they ended up letting me go. But it escalated to them saying that they will rip me and snatch me out my car and beat me, and tase me and take me to jail. For me to finally just be like, something, I'm going to give in. I'm going to let y'all violate my rights, and I'm going to give y'all this information, and we're going to go from there. And it just constantly kept happening. Constantly kept happening. I was taking my wife back and forth to a job in St. Joe late at night. I kept getting pulled over by the state police every time I crossed the bridge. Every time I come back into Ben Harbor, I'm being pulled over and harassed. And it was just so many times to where it was just, I got fed up with it. So I said, something, I'm going to start recording every interaction with the police, because I'm tired of this going on. And obviously, when I got a camera going, then they want to be cordial. They want to be nice. So I'm going to keep the camera rolling to keep them, doing what they're supposed to do. And then I can go home and make sure I'm safe. Because I don't want them to say, well, I felt, threatened by him, because I'm a big man, I'm a big, and I'm husky, and I'm darker, and, I just don't want to get beat down and, took over, and, they say, well, he was resistant or anything. So I just want to make sure that I'm protecting myself at the same time as protecting them too, so then that way that if anything that they felt that I did wrong, I'll make sure I got myself on camera, what I'm saying, how I'm interacting with that person. So then, if anything was said that they body cam didn't catch, or they silent, they turned their volume off, or maybe they might have pressed the button and the camera cut off. Maybe they said the camera died. I don't know. But I want to make sure that whatever is going on in the interactions I'm having between any government official or anybody who's working for a government entity is being recorded. That's just like my property kept getting tagged. I went down to the city hall and asked him about that. I recorded it. He never tagged it again. And I knew I was cutting my grass, but I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm being harassed now. And it was just to the point where every time I cut it, he'll come put a stake out there, tagging it. So it's like when I started recording, it'll stop most of them from doing the stuff they was doing. Because they're like, oh yeah, he's not playing around with us. He's documenting stuff because he's gonna get ready and get one of us, get our jobs. Because I'm not the one who out here trying to do wrong. If I know that my property need to be cut, I'm out there cutting it. If I know that I'm doing something illegal, I'm going to stop and tell the police. You can look at my record. I done been in trouble before, and I tell them, hey, I'm wrong. Let's do what we got to do. If I got to go to jail, let's go to jail. If I got to go pay the court $1,000, let's go pay them $1,000. It is what it is. But I feel like that. Nobody should be above the law, and nobody should be under the law. So I feel like that even me, I got to hold my own self accountable for things that I do. So when I know I'm in the wrong, hey, if I got to get in trouble for it, I just got to get in trouble. But I'm gonna address the fact that I know I was wrong for what I done, and that I got to pay the piper. And we need more people in the community that's willing to say, hey, I know I shouldn't do that, so I'm not gonna do it. And if I did do it, I need to go and confess about it and get it over with. Because we need to, start rekindling relationships with the community and the police departments and stuff like that, so we can, live a better life. We're not gonna never have a better life if every day you're looking around your shoulders like this because you feel like something is going on, something gonna happen. Any day the police can kick my door in because I'm selling drugs. So it's just basically time to stop doing the things that we know that's hurting the community and be for our community.
So I thank you for that. Let me ask you, so for any of these instances, had you ever contacted like you came in for us, filed a complaint? Had you done that with them at all?
With who?
State police.
I've wrote complaints, but I haven't heard anything back. That's okay, like so I had
the post out. I had the police that come here kind of, although they come from different areas, they're essentially out of Iran.
No.
Yeah. So yeah. And here's the reason why I asked, and this might not be popular with other officers, but I feel very strongly as far as citizens having the ability to file a complaint if they feel they have one, and to do that. And I think for us, we have a process, we have records. Commissioner Ross Singleton's on here. Thank you for Commissioner. He is the chair of our parent committee that we answer to within the city. If Commissioner Singleton said right now, show me your complaint logs, your complaint records, we have all that there with all the documentation, evidence, whatever the case may be. But one thing, here's why I'm asking you this. Here's what I'm hearing and have heard. People have had issues, not so much with Benton Harbor, but the state police that have come in to help Benton Harbor. And my question is, the people that have had issues, do they just say, that's just how it is, or that's just the cops, that's just the state police, or are they, or have they attempted to try to follow a complaint process with the state police?
Check this out.
If there's an issue, we will be able to see by those documented instances. So that's what I'm wondering.
And that's why I record, because the state police, they don't like to identify. You ask them to identify, oh, you're not a part of this traffic stop. You'll wait until after the traffic stop is done and they're not doing anything, and you'll come and try to get them to identify. They don't want to identify. They'll give you a card that isn't even their name on it. They do all kind of slick stuff. They don't want to let us know who they are. They'll tell you anything. Sometimes they'll even take the little, they'll cover the little patch up or somewhere. You can't see where their name is at. They'll make it to where they don't, and then you ask them, hey, can I get a name, badge number? I don't owe you anything. I'm not telling you nothing. Or they'll walk past you. Oh, can I get a business card? No. What do you need a business card for? If you're working for the community and you're here to genuinely help the community, why are you so aggressive with the people who just trying to figure out who you are working in their community?
Hmm. So I will say this again. Our mantra here on Chat with the Chief is some things just need to be said. Um, Unfortunately, this is not the first time that I've heard this. You almost I was stopped last week, Tuesday, for a traffic stop issue, and unless you guys are in cahoots, you just said almost verbatim the same thing that this person said when they asked the officer for his name, wouldn't give it to him. I think it said something to the effect that, well, it'll be on your ticket when I give it to you. Well, by the time they hand it to you and walk off. So one of the things, although, and here's the thing, and I'm glad I got the mayor and Commissioner Singleton on here. I understand this, Ben Harbor. Again, this is what I'm saying. This might not be popular from police perspective. Although that's not, the state police are not Ben Harbor, and they don't answer to us. They work with us. I, as a public safety director, still have a responsibility to protect our community against any type of behavior that would cause friction as opposed to help. Again, I myself have, as in my career, I have unfortunately testified against other officers. I've arrested other officers, unfortunately. We have a policy here that we follow. And generally, the complaints aren't generally for us. It's kind of the state police. So what I'm saying is these are the things I need to hear. Even if the written complaint is not all the way to Niles through them, if I have something I can refer to, because now, again, something needs to be said. I'm thinking there needs to be a conversation with the powers that be there to make sure that they reiterate, here's how we treat the citizens there, because you said it. They're helping and serving us, and they're assisting us, our department. And I think that what's made us successful, myself and Deputy Director Clark, is that we understand the nature of our people, and we've been transparent, and we want to hear you. And I think, and I hope that you would agree, when we talked, when we're wrong, and we say we're wrong, and we'll fix it. But I can't have it where if the state police are doing things that say might be not necessarily above board, that just goes out there and it never gets addressed. That's my concern. I think the mayor and Commissioner Singleton would agree. As a public safety director, I have to look out. I have to represent all law enforcement to make sure that when you come into the 49022, this 4 square miles, that we're treating the Ben Harbor residents the way they should be treated. Now, for us, as you know, we got big gold and big white letters on our thing that says, our name. So, when you walk into our lobby, we got our pictures with our name, our phone numbers, our email addresses on our website, our phone number, email addresses. We're saying as Ben Harbor, we want you to know who we are, to know what I look like. So, if you come by, you want to pick up a police report, I don't remember his name. Oh, that's him right there. Oh, that's his number. I don't like the fact that I'm hearing we're not giving people their names, because our goal, Clark and our goal is for you to know us is only, 28 of us that work the road. If we're full staff, you should know who we are. Hey, that's Pooley. Hey, that's Radosevich. Hey, that's McGinnis. Hey, that's Clark. Hey, that's Lil Clark.
They go Oakley.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. That's what we've been working for. That's what our commissioner said they want to have, that type of relationship building. I think that we've done that. I think the situation with G and Kinsler was nothing, quite honestly, but love from our citizens. And that's rare when you have officer involved shooting. Definitely. Give you an example of what G has done to build relationship in the community. Chat with the chief. Hopefully, this is building relationship in the community. And we have people on here that might have issue with the police. We want to hear what you got to say, man. It doesn't do us any good to be better if we try to hide and not listen to or not acknowledge the fact that there might be issues that need to be addressed or talked about, at least given explanations for. That's my goal. Here's a question by, this is a lot. I'm not even trying to say that. Is there a time frame when you can file a complaint? No, there's not. Now, I will say, Ms. Riri, closer to the incident, the better. And here's why. Say something happened, say 3 months ago, and and depending what it is, for us in our body camera system, again, let me say, for us, we don't have no problem being recorded. I think my officer did a great job of recording incidents.
They
We
do.
don't have no problem being recorded. But we have what's called retention policies or retention charts. So certain lower level things don't, because our data is web based and we pay a lot of money for it, but it's an awesome system. If you wait too long, it could possibly be deleted. So it's quicker. It's better to get that complaint done quicker. So if there is body cam, we can flag it, save it, so it doesn't get deleted. So to answer your question, Riri, there is no time frame, but the quicker, the better. So Rich Rabbers, post names, photos, and bios. So I'm working towards that. So thank you, Brother Rabbers, as far as bio. So right now, actually, Wednesday, we are going to get updated photos of all of our public safety officers to go on our board, to go on our website with their contact information. And one of these days, our shows are going to be just that, bios, where we've talked about, especially with Brother Turner, Shaquille Turner, that yes, cops, we are police, we're people too. Police are people too. Sometimes we have bad days. We might have problems at home. Kid might have got suspended from school. Those things happen to us too. The issue is we have to carry ourselves better and differently and not let that come through. But sometimes it does. And the citizens need to also realize that we are also people. But with that being said, I got some really great guys and gals here. Quite frankly, I think we got the best cops in Barron County. The job that we've done, having to be both police and fire. We got people that have come here that are, stayed here. And we're trying to build a culture. We're trying to build an environment that's conducive to having the best as we strive to be the best. We're looking to be, get accredited. So, but we only want the right people here. And again, I've fired people that didn't fit in here. I prosecuted people. Again, unfortunately, even as the director, we prosecuted officers because there is no place for that in Benton Harbor. Anywhere else is fine, but not within these 4.6 miles. So, and we have a form that you can come down and get. If you can even call my assistant, we can email it to you. Again, I'll even post our number again because we talked about last week. We have a really funky phone system and people kind of get lost in the shuffle. Here's a direct dial for public safety. Again, public safety, we are police, fire, and code compliance for inspections. So that one number is a hub that gets you to where you got to go. We have a new admin assistant. She's terrific. So she will help you the best she can, even as she's learning herself. So and I really appreciate that. And I want to, this might be a conversation that I have with the post commander at Niles or maybe the captain, because we need to make sure that, like tomorrow is National Night Out. Well, it doesn't do any good to try to form relationship with the community when we got outside entities that might be ruffling some feathers. So I appreciate your comments. Go ahead, sir.
And another thing is, like, it's one thing for officers to be out doing their job, but it's another when they're just out looking to pick with somebody. The way they ride up and down the streets, and especially like Empire and Columbus and May Street and over there in that area by Union and stuff. It's like they ride around in circles all day long. I'm talking about just running up behind people, speeding. They do some of the most illegal things on the road, and then they try to get into our tails about how we drive or a simple turn signal, but then they'll go 50 miles down the road with no emergency lights on. They'll be going down 50 and 60 down to 25, burning rubber, all kinds of stuff. So I just feel like that. They need to lead by example also too. You can't be out here taking people to jail, issuing the citations and tickets and stuff. But you out here, doing the same thing that everybody else in the community is doing. You have to have some kind of, thin line between, wrong and right, and be a role model for the community. As a police officer, you should do the speed limit just like everybody else because you're setting the example. And if anybody break that example, then that's when you're supposed to exercise your duties. But they don't do that. I see them I'm talking about they literally will leave me because they know I'm following them. So they'll run the red light. They'll do all kinds of stuff to get away from me. And I catch them on camera numerous times, coming up and down Pipestone, going about 60, 70 miles an hour. I catch them all the time doing stuff. One time, one of the guy that was in the K9 truck, I see they don't want to tell me their name, so what I do is I zoom in on their license plates for the state police. I know Ben Harbor, they have numbers on the back of the cars, but the state police identify it through license plate.
Okay.
So I normally zoom in on the plates to get numbers on plates, because I see stuff. I see a lot of stuff. Like he was turning the corner so hard, he hit the corner, ran up on the grass a little bit, and got around that corner to get away from me.
So let me say, I haven't been at these actual locations, so I can't say one way or the other. I will say this, not making any explanation or excuses. There are times that we will be going to a hot call and might not always have license sirens on for detection purposes, but that should actually be kind of commensurated with the dispatch data that says that. So that's possible. I can't say for sure, but I'm gonna tell you though, from this discussion, and which I appreciate, I will be reaching out to the post commander. Actually, we're going to be talking to him probably today and definitely tomorrow, for kind of this concern, because now this is like the third time I've heard this in the course of 3 weeks. So again, something need to be said, and I gotta look out for us, and we are Benton Harbor. I got a couple more comments here. Mr. Don Lane, I appreciate that. He says that's why it's important for the community to interact with police personally, not just due to law enforcement. I agree with that. And even for us to get out, there was times, you might say this is wrong or goofy. When I was on the road, I would pull people over, like just to say hi. Like, why are you pulling me over? I'm just saying hi, sir. And they were like, okay, all right. So here's another comment from Sister Athena. Yes, the state police don't respect anyone in our community. We hope we'll get to the bottom of that. Here's Mr. Jarrell Porter. Why the police and district attorney can't put reward money up for unsolved murders? There are murders that need to be solved. What is being done? Well, I talked about this last week. There is money that's been put up. And I think if you look at the comments before, we can only deal with the information that we were given. If we're not giving any information, there's nothing we can do. So, we need people to step up and say, yeah, I was there when so-and-so got and shot my boy. Here's what he was wearing. Here's the car he was in. Let us do the work to find that person. But it all starts with help. Just like Commissioner Singleton says, we got to be the ones to take control and set the standard in our community. Here's Miss Connie Dacker. Thank you so much, Chief McGinnis, for your continued efforts and working to build a relationship with the community. I'm personally thankful for your transparency, honesty, and all your hard work. Well, I thank you. I'm sure there's probably some of those who would probably disagree, but I thank you for that. And again, while I'm sitting in the seat, I am pro Benton Harbor, our people. Yet we don't mind help. If you're going to come and help us the Benton Harbor way. And we got a way. And it's the right way. So, I wish we had more time, Brother Jackson. Maybe I might have you back on, because I really want to get more into your channel. Okay. You're doing a good thing. And I'll let you finish off, because we sometimes go over a couple minutes. Talk about your channel. You are a young man who's so smart. You start monetizing that. So go ahead. Tell me about Benton Harbor Street News, where we can find it on Facebook.
Okay, so when you go to Facebook, you just click Benton Harbor Community News, and you can get on there and see all kinds of stuff. If you subscribe to the page, which is I made it where it's affordable for everybody. It's $4.99 to subscribe to it. Then you get to see exclusive stuff like when you guys go on like scenes where there's been like multiple people shot or maybe murders and things like that. I'll stand out there and I record from the beginning to the end until the situation is over with. And, and people get to see exactly what's going on, so it's a lot of people said, hey, I stopped paying for cable. I stopped paying Hulu and Netflix. I just watch you, because they like, man, it's like watching TV. It's exciting to see what's going on with our law enforcement. And also, people get to actually see where their taxpayer dollars are going, so y'all actually get to see the police in their duties, full duty, doing what they have to do, to protect our community. So I like to shine light on stuff like that too, and the goods about the police department. I actually was going to ask you if one of these days before the summer end, if we can get some police officers down at the park to play ball with some of the kids in the community, because I think that will bring a lot of the kids closer to the police department. You
Absolutely.
know, maybe they should do something like that. Be, more into the community with the kids, and also whoever would like to play a game of ball, because that's what a lot of these kids like do. They like to play basketball. So I figured that would be something where it doesn't cost anybody anything, but at the same time, all you have to do is just come and have a good time. I'll bring cases of water and stuff and things like that, so then people can have something to drink, and we could just all get out there and play ball or something. And that will, like I said, it'll start, you know, opening a fence or a gate or something for the police officers to work their way back into the community and be trusted. Because that's what we want. We want the people to trust the community. We want the people to trust the police department in our communities. That's
Yes.
a very important thing for the community to have respect, and also to help with these murders and shootings is by bringing the community and the police closer, by having them to interact with the people in the community other than just taking them to jail.
Absolutely.
So
And I agree with that. We've been short staffed, but we got some things that we have been trying to do and will do. Basketball is one thing. As a matter of fact, real quickly, I don't want to go too much over, but we're working with um, Boys and Girls Club for a grant, probably Project Safe Neighborhood grant, to help with their basketball program. But here's the difference here, and this is probably a whole nother show. This is for female basketball players, because Ben Harbor is a basketball town.
it
Okay,
is, ain't it?
basketball town, but the female athletes in basketball get left behind. They're learning basketball for the first time when they get to middle school or high school, when the other schools, St. Joe, Lakeshore, Buchanan, the other ones are getting basketball starting in third grade. So we need to, and we talk about like mentorship and mentoring, and we just assume it's the young boys that need mentorship, but our young ladies need mentorship too. So I know myself and Commissioner Edwards, he's a basketball coach. He's a great basketball coach, actually. He's coached at the middle school. We're trying to we're going to help support that grant for the young ladies, because one, they need to get somebody to support them, to have some role models, to understand their power that they have. No means no, and that is not just a cliche. Also, we're unfortunately seeing a proliferation of females being the victims of violence, as we've seen here the last month or so, as well as some of them shooting people themselves. So that's a program that we have. We got chess boards. We talked about getting a table set up in the park, play some chess, maybe some cards. Where I come from, I'm old school. We play bid whist. You young guys play spades. If we come out, put a table down, we get three other people. Let's go at it. Let's get to know each other as people. And it might be something when I run a Boston on you in uniform. Make some friends, maybe some enemies. So that might work. So those are some things that we're gonna do. Again, we had great support from our commission. I thank them for that. We will turn this thing around. You got my word, my promise. We will continue to do the right things. And again, here, I'll leave you with this. Here's what we wear. Let me get the right side. Here's what we wear: body camera. And if somebody comes up to your car, you make sure that this light is on. And it should be, I think, red if it's recording. State police, Benton Harbor, whoever. And I'd ask him first thing, "Hey, officer, your body cam on?" Maybe it might piss them off, maybe it might not. That's your first question, because now you know what's on. So if I do have an issue, if this does go sideways, I will just, when I file my complaint with whatever agency, request that the body camera also be saved and played when I come in and make my complaint. So that's key. If they got this on, you need to make sure it's on. Because here's the thing: if it's not on, then that becomes a problem. That now you come to see me, and they say don't get on O1's radar. Don't get on radar because you know your body camera on. So now sometimes they do, like mine, if the battery's down. So even I have them, but that's important. make sure because that body camera is to protect not just the officer, but also the citizen. So
Yep.
that's just a thing I would say. We ran out of time. I might need to have you back next week if you're available. We'll talk offline. Also appreciate the fact that you have chosen to work with us, and I hope that relationships get better, at least with us. But I will also bring these issues
Oh,
up
it
too.
definitely is. I appreciate every moment I have to be able to talk with y'all, and I do appreciate everything you do for us, Chief. I can actually see a lot of progress that we have had with our police department in the past 5 years, because it was bad and it's done got better, And our polices, they're very cordial, respectful too. I really appreciate the Benton Harbor Police Department, because even though the state police they show a bad seed, not all of them are bad, because I have talked to some that was pretty decent and respectful, and they know how to treat people in the community. Some of them,
I
but then
appreciate
there's others who they try to hide, behind the good ones and stuff like that. So, like I was saying, y'all, Ben Harbor is doing excellent when it comes to the police department. I haven't seen anything that the Ben Harbor Police Department have done that was wrong. As I've been recording for this last year, it's all been the state police been violating everybody. Nothing that Ben Harbor has been doing. I've been
we
seeing Ben Harbor just doing what they supposed to do.
appreciate
They don't ride around looking for trouble. If they see trouble, they get it. But they don't just go around looking for it, just harassing the community and doing stuff like that. They actually give people, chances. They try to talk to people. It's been plenty of times I knew that they supposed to take somebody to jail, and they'd be like, you know, just go home, because if you come back, you're gonna go to jail. So they actually literally try to give people chances, because I guess they done grew, a lot of them then grew to, know the people in the community and know how these people are in the community. And that's what the community needs,
We
for
appreciate
people to understand, where they come from, and what they go through on a daily life thing, and that's what the state police don't really understand that.
Okay. So I
So I mean,
appreciate you for that. And we have actually changed our whole hiring process and review process, Deputy Director Clark and I. So it sounds like it's working. A couple comments and we're going to get out of here. Rich Rapper says, cops listening moment. B-ball is not the only way. I agree. You're totally correct. Cornhole, which, you know what? That is Commissioner Jay Edwards, one of his babies. We need to have something in the park. I don't know if we could do it for tomorrow, but cornhole, chess, different things, cards, just kind of kick it, have fun, right outside. That could work. Last one is let me see. Yes, Mr. Jackson, you're absolutely correct. Read Ben Harbor Officer. Well, we thank you, Brother Jackson. I thank you so much for being on. I think this has been enriching for me. I got a couple good things. I like the gun education course. I'm definitely going to be reaching out to the powers that be at MSP, and I report back. So thank you for what you do. Let's keep the open communication going. You know how to get to me.
yep.
You got the bat phone. So thank you, and thank your passenger for sitting there quietly and patiently.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
until next week, Ben Harper, we thank you much. We are done. You guys be safe. Hopefully, we'll see you tomorrow at National Night Out. It starts at 5 o'clock down in Pete Mitchell Park. We have food, we have hot dogs, and as soon as I go here, I'm gonna try to get a plan B for the dunk tanks. I really wanted it, be in that cold water. And if you want to come down and try and dunk the chief, by all means do. So till next week,
Oh,
Ben
I'm
Harper.
gonna be there.
Be blessed. You guys take care. Thank everyone that's chimed in and tuned in. Share this, and we will talk to you later.
All right.